Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Sarah, and today we are going to talk about some things that I thought as a kid. I remember, I think Jenna Marbles did this video, and I thought it was really funny. I've seen it a couple of times, but it's always really entertaining, so I thought I would share with you some of the weird things that I thought as a kid. So let's just get right into it. The first weird thing that I thought as a kid is that it costs 25 cents every time you turned on or off a light. I'm pretty sure my parents told me this so that I would stop turning my bedroom lights on and off all the time. Like, it costs 25 cents every time you turned it on, and then it cost money while it was on, and then it cost 25 more cents when you turned it off. That's what I thought. Also, when I was a kid, I distinctly remember one time being in the car with, I think it was my mom, it might have been both parents. We were listening to the radio and we were listening to Reba McEntire, and I could hear it in my head, and in my head it sounded like Reba. So I thought that translated to that's what I sounded like. So I said to my mom, or whoever I was with, I said, I can sound just like Reba. And she's like, oh, you can? And I was like, yeah. And I started singing, and it didn't sound like Reba. And I was so frustrated. I didn't understand why it didn't sound right. So I was like, no, I swear. And like, I tried it again and it still didn't work. And I was really confused as to why I didn't sound like Reba, because I could hear in my head it sounded like Reba. So I didn't understand why when it came out of my mouth it didn't sound like Reba. Yeah. So in kind of that same vein, another thing that I thought as a kid was that when you hear a song on the radio, the people were actually at the radio station singing the song live. So I thought that the singers just traveled around the country singing on the radio all the time. Another thing I thought as a kid that's actually really embarrassing, and the only place that I can think that this stems from is, so when I was a kid I had like one main babysitter, but then for a couple of years I went to a different babysitter, and in that house there was the mom and the grandma and then like 3 or 4 teenage girls. And the oldest girl got pregnant when she was like 16 or 17. And so I don't know if they told me this or if I just came up with this in my head because I thought that there was no way that this girl was having sex. But I thought, and I told people in my 2nd grade class this, I thought that they went along with it. They believed me, so it wasn't like I looked silly. I thought that that you didn't just have to have sex to get pregnant. You could either have sex or you could sleep in the same bed for like an extended period of time and you could get pregnant that way. Like, I don't know where that came from, but that's what I thought as a 2nd grade child. I don't know when I realized that that was not the case, but yeah, that's what I thought. I distinctly remember having a conversation about it with a girl in my class. We both... Never mind. Anyways, okay, so when I was a kid, there was this movie that I liked. It was called Kindergarten Cop. It had Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, and that's really all I remember about it. But I loved that movie. I watched it every single day, probably multiple times a day, probably on repeat. This was back in the days of VHS. If you don't know what that is, I'm sorry, children, look it up. And so I just watched this movie over and over and over again until one day my parents told me that it was broken, and I was devastated. I don't remember asking them to go buy another one, so I must have not thought that that was a thing. But yeah, they told me it was broken and I couldn't watch it anymore. That was, I don't know how old I was. I was probably 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there. Fast forward a couple of years, I believe I was 16 at this time. Somehow I'm looking through the movies that we have or something, and I find a copy of Kindergarten Cop. And I say to my parents, this is how long that I believed this. I say to my parents, oh, you bought another copy? And I don't remember if it was my mom or my dad, but whoever it was, they just got this big smirk on their face and they're like, no. And that's when it hit me, like, oh my gosh, you guys lied to me. That movie was never broken. You just didn't want to watch it anymore. I mean, by that time, I didn't blame them because I knew I watched it a lot, and I was over the heartbreak of losing that movie. And I really haven't even seen that movie in years and years and years, and I don't even know if I would like it anymore. But yeah, that was a traumatizing time. Another thing that I thought as a child, I don't remember this, but my grandma told me about this all the time. My grandparents owned a bakery when I was a child. Actually, up until just a few years ago, they owned a bakery, and they made mostly donuts, and they delivered them to like gas stations and stuff. So I have a lot of memories from the bakery growing up, but that's not the point here. The point is, when I was a small child, behind the bakery, there's this like big parking lot. It's shared with pretty much the entire block of businesses. And of course, there's a manhole cover to the sewer in the back. And when I was a child, I believed with my whole heart that Oscar the Grouch lived there. Yep. Another thing that happened with the bakery, one time a guy came into the bakery with a long white beard, and I guess I just got, like, my eyes got wide and I went, "Oh, it is him!" And I thought this man was Santa Claus. He was not, but I thought it was. I think he might have, like, brought me a Barbie one time too, so that kind of perpetuated the Santa Claus myth. You want a kiss? Grab a kiss. Oh, so many kisses. So many kisses. Oh, look at her. She's so beautiful. I love you. Okay, I got one more thing to talk about, please. Okay. The last thing that I can think of that I thought as a kid that is semi-amusing was I remember one time telling my parents that I could see... Stop! Can you chill for a minute? I have one more thing to talk about, and then you can fight all you want. Thank you. I love you. Okay, so the last thing that I remember thinking was I told my parents one time that I could see the end of the world. And they like kind of laughed and they're like, "Oh, really? You can?" And I was like, "Yeah, can't you? I can see the end of the world. It's right there." It was where is the horizon line is what I was seeing, where the land meets the sky, and like it doesn't really meet, but it meets in your line of vision. And I thought that that was the end of the world, and I could see it, and I thought that was so cool. So that's all I have for this video today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you back here next week. Like this video if you like it. Tell me something amusing that you thought as a small child in the comments. Subscribe for more of my lovely face, and I will see you guys later. I love you so much. Bye!